Welcome back, friends, for the third episode of Receivables under the overall series of Make More Rain. Let's quickly recap what we talked in the last couple of episodes on receivables. What was their importance, and we talked about the significance. We also talked about how to form teams, why receivables, and how they can be reduced, and why receivables is important from the bottom line perspective. And we also talked about the write-offs can be done and the process for write-offs, etc. Now, in this particular episode, we probably should uh, concentrate on what is actually the measurement of receivables. That means, how you can say that these receivables are in so many crores, but ratios are always better, right? So therefore we have a measure called as DSO, which is called debtor sales outstanding. It's a ratio which talks about your total receivables, that means D, total debtors, upon total sales in an year. So let's say your debtors are 10 crores, your sales is 100 crores in a year, and therefore 10 upon 100 is zero point 0.1. Multiply that by 365 days of an year, that is 36.5 days. DSO is always talked in terms of days. So even if you compare two different companies, let us say one company is 100 crores and other company is 300 crores, the other company is 1000 crores, and all of those companies are in the same industry segment, and you take DSOs of those three companies, they will come on a same platform. That means one DSO is like I said is 37 days, other DSO would be 20 days, other DSO will be 47 days. So you know that this 20 days DSO company is doing better in terms of the receivables issue. So DSO will give you a sense of what is your debtors as compared to your overall yearly sales. As you keep on collecting money or as you keep on giving more credit, in both the cases the DSO will keep on going up and down. So DSO becomes a dynamic measure. So therefore the accounts guy will measure the DSO probably every fortnight or every month, the list that he should measure, and declare it to the crowd that your DSO levels were so and so last month, now they are so and so. So whether we have improved or whether we have not improved. So we talked about in the second episode forming teams, going line by line items and attacking each line of invoice and trying to get hold of that receivable back and getting money back into the bank account of the company and reducing the level of the outstandings. If you do that, your DSO level will come down. So when you form teams, it is a good idea to give the team leader a kind of a target. Let's say uh, when you form teams and you kicked off the whole exercise and the DSO was, let's say, 56 days, just an example. That means you were realizing the money almost 2 months after you were invoicing it. That way, correct? So you give a team a target. Let's say you have to bring down the DSO from 56 days to 45 days in next 3 months, next 6 months, whatever your target. So that's one issue of measurement of DSO and giving targets. Now, if your industry terms, the normal accepted terms of the industry are, let's say, 30 days credit. Please understand this. Every guy in the industry, that means in the industry there are, let's say, 10 players, and every player gives 30 days credit. Okay, like electric motors, they give credit. They don't come and ask you for money before 60 days. So that their norm is 60 days. Then their DSO is never ever going to come down below 60 days, because to each customer they sell, they are going to give 60 days credit, and the customer may not give them money after 60 days. Some of them will give after 70 days, 80 days. So their DSO levels will be always above 60 days. Understand? So suppose your company is giving 30 days credit, then your DSO levels will be minimum 30 days. But if your company is not giving credit and collecting all the money before the dispatch is done, then your technical DSO should not be there. Your DSO should be negative, right? DSO should be zero. When it will turn negative, technically, I mean, it doesn't happen, but technically it will turn negative. For example, a trader, he is getting his stock on a credit term, that means he is giving his supplier after 90 days, but he is selling everything on cash and carry basis. That means he is collecting money immediately, but he is giving credit, but he is giving the money back to the supplier after 90 days. In that case, the DSO will be even negative. But let's keep that outside. So, and also another thing which we keep outside is the government sale, because in government sale, that's a separate topic and probably we'll cover it in some other episode. Government sale is different and governments want some typical payment terms, etc. Now I'm going to talk to you about a very basic thing. So we talked about how why the outstandings go up, how the how teams are formed, how do you do write-offs, what is the process for that. In the second episode we also talked about how do you measure it in terms of DSO. But now I'm going to come and talk to you about a very basic thing, why at all an outstanding is generated, and a lot of it goes to giving payment terms when accepting a sales order. So right ab initio, as they call it, right from the word go, when you are able to control your payment terms, then you are likely to control your DSO levels. Suppose you don't give a retention, like we talked in the last episode of 10% retention, then the outstanding will not happen because your payment terms were 20, 70, 10. So you have collected advance 20%, 70% of money before dispatch, and 10% was retention. Now this 10% is going to give rise to the DSO levels. So if you don't give retention at all, the likelihood that your DSO levels will not go up, or you will not get into a big chunk of outstanding. But it doesn't happen again. So what you do is you negotiate a payment term. For example, you negotiate the last, instead of last 10%, you negotiate it to 5%, and that 5% also against a bank guarantee. So bank guarantee will block your limits, so that's a separate issue altogether. But that is to an extent okay, because that limit blockage can be tackled in a different fashion. So suppose you give 5% against bank guarantee, and once you dispatch the material, it is rejected at site, and then you give the bank guarantee, the customer will give you 5% money. So 5% payment against the bank guarantee is a better idea. Now even a better idea than that 5% bank guarantee is if you are selling B2B to some big industrial clients, and if your company is also a reputed one, then the customer will also instead of accepting a bank guarantee, he will say, why between the two of us there are good relations, why pay to bank? You don't have to give me a bank guarantee. So then you suggest that you will give a corporate guarantee. So the corporate guarantee is something like your top guy, who is the ultimate signing authority, on a piece of your company letterhead, gives a guarantee, signs it, and says something like that, I guarantee on behalf of my company that will make good the equipment, and it will perform, and if not, then this is a 5% corporate guarantee. So you have it doesn't cost you anything, right? It just makes the life much easier. So that is one way of reducing your outstanding to a great extent. So always remember, for the salespeople, it is very important. You are not just bookers of the orders. You are responsible till the last dollar or last rupee is got into your bank account. I've seen a lot of salespeople not cognizant of this fact, and even senior ones, and they just don't give any importance for this. This is very important from getting the money in your bank account. So please get into the nuances of these terms, like bank guarantees, performance bank guarantees, advance bank guarantees, or letters of credit, or hundi, or dispatch documents to bank. What are you doing in dispatch documents to bank? You are dispatching the material, and then those dispatch documents, like your LR, lorry receipt, and on your invoice, you go and give it to your bank. Your bank submits it to customer's bank, and the customer's banker, the moment he gets it, the customer bank is obliged to pay your banker that equivalent money of your invoice. So the your banker will credit your money of that invoice into your bank. Very easy, DTB, dispatch accounts to bank. So please work on this kind of payment terms, which will reduce your outstandings, because ab initio, right from the word go, you will concentrate on reducing your outstandings of the future date, and also at the same time you are reducing your outstandings of the old. always remember a couple of things. It is always easier to tackle and get outstanding which are less in the number of days, or they are earlier, or they are not aged. As they age, becomes more and more difficult. So this is a series of three episodes. I have slightly exceeded my 10 minutes slot, and I finished the three episode series basically. So take care of the outstandings, reduce them, write off with the right processes, continuously target and monitor through your teams through TSO levels, and right from the beginning make payment terms better and better so that the outstandings don't get out of your hands. And the most important thing is for the sales engineers to understand the nuances of the each and every term and get better payment terms and become smarter. With doing all this, you will be able to control your outstandings better. You are a rainmaker. Make more rain, make more profits for your company. Best of luck. Thank you.